Good morning, guys. It's Monday, June 29th, 2026. Tomorrow's the last day of June. Boy, it's been a long month. So the reason I'm in the kitchen here is I wanted to show you our calendar. And I kind of keep score every day. Was it a positive day or not so positive, a negative in a way? Is it going forward, or are we not making progress, maybe taking a step back or two? So every day I put on the calendar a plus or a minus. Some days there's both plus and minuses, so just wanted to show you this. It's kind of been the journey so far. So I'm going to turn this around, and again, when I flip this around, I can't really see what the camera lens can see, so I'm doing my best. Okay, so this is the month of June, and over here on the 13th, hope you can see that, is when Susie went into the hospital late in the afternoon, and that was a minus. You can see we had a minus the next day, and then I had a little plus. She kind of perked up and was more alert. Then we had a couple of minuses, and again, I can't tell you specifically. I did videos for those days, so you can take a look at those videos. And then we were trending up here. We had a couple pluses, and then we had a plus minus. She had some knee pain. That was the minus. And then we had a string of pluses. This is when we first started in rehab and the therapy, and I thought things were going well. Hit a minus Wednesday the 24th. I don't recall why. 25th was a plus, and now we're on a string of what I'm viewing as minuses. Yesterday was a plus and a minus, and I'll talk a little bit about that this morning. So I'm going to walk over to my trusty chair, plop myself down next to my cup of coffee, and I'll tell you what's up. Okay, get my trusty notes. So, gonna talk a little bit about what I discovered in their, they've got an app, I think I've mentioned that before, where you can get all kinds of information about the patient. And talked a little bit about already the pluses and minuses on the calendar. I'll briefly touch on our special guest, Trixie, which many people have seen already. And talk a little bit about an NFL quarterback. Did a search for Home Depot and had a Rip Van Winkle experience. I'll tell you a little bit about that. I had a hard conversation with somebody on the care team for Susie. It was something that I really needed to hear, because there was a lot of unknowns, and it gave me some degree of clarity, even though it was something I didn't necessarily want to hear. Yesterday I took food from home. I'll tell you a little bit about that. I'm also going to I'm going to do a little show and tell here, some little things that I'm going to take today for Susie that hopefully remind her of home. And obviously I'll talk about my girl and what's going on for her. And let's see, I think that's it. So things aren't trending in the right direction with Susie. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. So first, the app discovery. I was primarily going to using their, I have a PC, so I was going to my computer to use their tools to communicate. And what I was basically seeing was like a schedule for the day, which is her therapy appointments, when they are, and who's showing up and what they're doing. Is it PT, OT, speech, whatever, and who the care worker is. And what I discovered was, and this was on the app, and I don't think it's unique just to the app. I think I could probably find it on the PC, but on the app, I could see caretaker notes. And so I got some insight into what was going on or not going on with Susie that I wasn't aware of. I mean, it's not major stuff, but it's stuff I want to be aware of. And also the meds that she's on, or supposed to be on, because she's refusing some of them. And let's see, was there anything else? I haven't been able to figure out how to message them. I mean, there is a button for messaging, but it's like make an appointment, things like that just don't relate to our situation there. So that was huge, and I asked the nurse if I could speak with her about the contents of the app. We did speak briefly, and I had another care worker show up that needed to talk with me, so it was a very brief interaction with the nurse. But one of the things that came up, and I think I mentioned this the other day, is I didn't know that they were wanting her on blood thinners, and Susie wasn't accepting them. And I had found out, I don't know how, that the blood thinner meds are administered by an injection. Well, you're probably learning that my girl doesn't like needles, and so that was a no-go for her. And I was asking the nurse, isn't there another way that she can get the blood thinner if you feel that's, or if the doctor feels that's something important, in pill form or whatever? And I don't remember her response. So that's kind of an action item. I think also she hasn't had a bowel movement in several days, which concerns me. And, they're prone to, I think she also refused medication that was stool softener. And again, at home we eat a relatively high fiber diet, so having bowel movements isn't really a problem for us when we're eating what we're eating. But in the hospital, you're getting things like, not anymore, but I take that back. She had pancakes, and she was getting sausage and turkey, and all this is ground up like baby food. And I said, let's get away from some of that stuff. We want to maintain the protein, but also make sure she's getting lots of fiber. So anyway, oatmeal, different things in that venue, fruits, blended fruits, applesauce, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm going to move on here. Talk a little bit about our special guest, Trixie. If you watched the video, I hope you also read the description, because it tells you a lot about her and how she's utilized. She's utilized not only on the recovery unit, which is where Susie is, which are stroke and brain injury patients, but she also shows up at the pediatric unit, and this is all volunteer. It's just amazing to me. The front desk is full of young teenagers, typically, that are volunteers, checking you in and walking you to the room if you don't know where the room is in the hospital. I had kind of a discovery isn't the right word. I'm going to say insight as a result of the visit of Trixie, the miniature horse, because there was a little group around. And I'd asked Susie if she wanted to get in her wheelchair when Trixie was coming, because then she could get closer and maybe touch her or whatever. She said no, and I said, well, do you at least want to see her? Like, should I leave the door open? And the answer was yes. And I wanted to see Trixie. I wanted to check this out. And if you watch the video, I asked the owner if this is similar or the same as the, I don't know if they're ponies or horses. They're miniature. If this is similar or the same as to what Arnold Schwarzenegger has, because he has two of these little animals wandering around his house. I don't know if you've seen that, but he feeds them from the dinner table. Anyway, the answer was yes. So that was just very interesting to me. And they try to use, like animal therapy, Trixie. There's a dog that they're going to bring in. I don't know when, but probably this week. And there are little field trips that they try to plan. I know that on Susie's schedule, there's something about biking. I have no idea what that is. Obviously, Susie cannot ride a bike. So anyway, that was our special guest, Trixie, and I thought it was fantastic, and it's fantastic what these people do that are volunteers. I think I mentioned NFL quarterback and what this NFL quarterback might have in common with Susie, and that is, or anything that's coming up on my computer screen that talks about stroke, I'm obviously have an interest in and paying attention to. And I saw an article the other day talking about former NFL quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, Jim Kelly. He's a Hall of Famer. And apparently he had a stroke earlier this year. And this was not a video, it was a written article, so I don't know the quality of his ability to speak. But whoever he was talking to, he was telling them that he's still messed up in terms of vision and hearing. And, every stroke is different because of where it occurs in the brain is going to affect different parts of the body. But with Susie, I think that she does have diminished vision in her right side, because if you're on her right, over here, a lot of times unless you call out to her, she needs to turn her head. So I just dropped my notepad, sorry. Anyway, so that was an interesting little tidbit to me, because I'm trying to figure out what are her capabilities. Is she understanding me? I told the story, I think, yesterday about doing her laundry, taking it in to the room, doing her laundry at home, taking it to her room, was folded. And I was asking her if she wanted me to put it on the shelves or to hang it on the hangers. And she wasn't answering yes or no to either of those two questions. She wanted something else. And I concluded through a series of questions, like, do you want me to take these clothes home with me, not leave them here? And the answer was yes. Okay. And then, and I said, are you not wanting to get dressed anymore? And she said, yes, the nod. And then I'm leaving at the end of the day and I'm saying, do you want me to take these clean clothes with me, not leave them here? And she said, no. I said, so you want me to leave them here? Yes. Do you want me to hang them? No. Do you want me to put them on the shelf? No. What do you want me to do with them? And then she pointed with her left hand toward the window. And so it's like a guessing game. Am I getting warm or am I cold kind of deal? So finally I concluded that just leave them on the windowsill there. They have a very deep windowsill, about 11 or 12 inches. So that's what I did. So my question is, did she understand me the first time? And did I understand her answers? And the same thing in the evening. Did she understand me, and did I understand her? Maybe she changed her mind during the course of the day. I don't know. These are all unknowns. And I know in the work that she's done in the past with a speech therapist, they do these kind of question and answer things. And Susie has gotten better at identifying things. You know, I think the last time she did it, I said she was about 60%. So you can ask her a question, but maybe the answer she's giving isn't the real answer. And that is, I don't know, that's tough. That's really tough. I talked a little bit about early on the search for Home Depot. I was going to get those easel tear sheets, you know, the big, huge pad of paper that is like 2 feet by 3 feet. You'd put them on an easel for presentations or trainings, you know, 30, 40 years ago. I don't know what they do now. Anyway, I'm Googling stationery store near me, and I'm thinking Staples will come up or Office Depot, and there are a bunch of little ones, little stores. But the only one in the South Bay, San Jose area is Office Depot in Los Gatos, and I was shocked. And the reason I was going to get one of these is I wanted to draw things for her, Susie, and put them on, you know, tape them up on the wall. You know, I mentioned in a little video yesterday that I told her that she's the boss and that she can decide what she wants or doesn't want. And right now she's deciding she doesn't want therapy. And I want her to have therapy, but I have to come from a place of honoring wishes. I just don't know what's behind it. I don't know if she's given up. I don't know if she wants to go home. I don't know if she just doesn't want to be hassled and wants to be quiet. Don't know any of that. So anyway, I call this thing, when I have these discoveries, like, wow, only one Office Depot, when we had, literally, they were every several blocks, a Staples, an Office Depot, an Office Max, all that stuff. So I call that the Rip Van Winkle effect, where you wake up and the world has changed. Had that a lot when we lived in Mexico and we would return back to the States. And we weren't coming back every year. I'd say about every 2 years was kind of our average. And I'll never forget the time I was in a retail store at the checkout stand. And you know the little digital gift cards, like you can give somebody an Amazon card with $100 value or whatever. So I'm at the checkout or the check cash register, and I see these cards, and I'm going, "What are these?" And the guy tells me, "Oh, if you know, it was a clothing store. If you want to give a gift of our products to somebody, but not sure about what they might like or the color, size, whatever, you can just buy them a gift card, and they can come in and use it just like cash and buy what they want." And I thought, wow, that's a cool idea. So, you know, when you're living in the environment here, you might not notice a change when it happens. It just kind of becomes part of the overall background or experience. But when you're away for a while and you see what's changed, like I remember one time we came back from Mexico and I'm looking at the San Jose Mercury newspaper, and I'm looking in the newspaper, and there are all these ads for medical marijuana, and I'm going, whoa, what happened? So that's the Rip Van Winkle effect. Oh, one insight I had, I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, was with Trixie's visit. You know, there was a whole group of hospital workers in the hall. I think there were a few patients, I'm not sure. I was more preoccupied with Trixie, but I had an insight or a realization. And the realization was that this was a community of people, and that I was really missing community, and I've missed that for some time. So in the last 2 weeks, I've had more people interaction than in probably the last 6 years. And but the most I get is interaction with the Trader Joe's checker. So anyway, it's something that I'm more aware of and want to make a commitment to change that. So I showed yesterday I was taking some oatmeal from home, what I call my crazy oatmeal recipe. And I knew they had a refrigerator. I hadn't confirmed whether they had a microwave or not. And I didn't know what the logistics of you bring in the food, who gets the food, and who gives it to the patient, all that stuff. So I go in with my little Tupperware kind of Rubbermaid actually container and ask them where the refrigerator is and do they have a microwave, and have to put a label on it. It can only stay in there for a maximum of 2 days, then they get rid of it, and I want to make sure they don't throw it away because I value that little container. Anyway, and then I'm asking, well, who heats this up and who brings it to the patient and all that stuff? And they say, you do. Okay. And the thing I'm laughing about is breakfast is before visiting hours. And I think the earliest I've been there is like 9:30. So, and I think breakfast is usually around 7:30 or 8. So my plan is tomorrow, Tuesday, which is the big day where all the doctors and therapists and case manager, they all meet, powwow. So my goal is to bring it in tomorrow early. Well, it's already in. To go in tomorrow early, heat up the oatmeal, and feed it to Susie. Hopefully she'll eat it. So, yeah, learning a little bit here. Well, let's talk about my girl. When I arrived yesterday, and that was, it was right around noon. She had a shower, and she gets about 2 showers a week, and she looked really good. I mean, alert, and she was interactive with me, and I had told her that I'd gone for a long walk with my neighbor Pietro, had shown him part of the park that I walked through, and he was already familiar with the park. He'd been there several times, so I walked there several times, so this wasn't a brand new discovery. But I took him by the Asian couple that does all the gardening out in front of their yard, and showed him what they've got planted. So anyway, I try to tell her what's going on in my life, at least as it pertains to the household or activities that I'm doing, just to let her know what's up. I have to say, she looked the most alert ever, and that gives me so much hope. And she was trying to talk and sounding out things in multiple syllables, but it wasn't intelligible. And I'm telling her, listen, you're doing so much better. And she is. Before, she couldn't even do that. And I told her, I want to know what you are trying to tell me. I want to understand what's inside. And I wish you would work with the speech therapist. I mean, yeah, I know all of the therapists are important, but I think the communication thing, from my point of view, would be number one with her, and I think it's number one with me. So I don't think she's totally buying it, buying my story. So I mentioned earlier she's not taking all her meds. This has been a trend for several days. She's taking a aspirin. She's taking a antibiotic for her bladder infection. And I think, maybe her looking good and being more interactive yesterday was a byproduct of feeling better from the bladder infection. I mean, I'm just making this all up, I'm guessing. So what else is she taking? Thyroid, antibiotic. I think there was one more. She's not taking her cholesterol or blood pressure. I think I mentioned the other day they want her on blood thinners, and I spoke with the nurse. This was the brief conversation I had with the nurse, and the blood thinners and injection, and she's not going to go for that. So I said, can't we get it in pill form? That would really increase the probability that she'll take it. What else? She's taking some kind of med for her bladder to help her actually urinate, like go to the bathroom. They take her there and have her pee in the toilet, which is not happening yet, but she is taking that medication. She has Flonase for either nasal just decongestion or allergies. She does have some like ragweed, or we guess what it is, some kind of plant pollen related allergy in this time of year. I think that's about it with Susie in terms of, just not doing the therapy and not doing the meds. So, I mentioned earlier that I had a hard conversation with somebody, and this was Laura Wallace. She's a speech therapist. She worked with Susie yesterday morning at breakfast. And, she told me what she did, but I have to say, because of my mind being so scattered, I don't remember what she said. But Susie, the key thing is Susie let her be with her, not totally cover up her face like she is with everybody else. And I told her, I said, you're a miracle worker. Can I get you back? And she's going kind of like, whoa, dude. Relax. We've got a lot of good people here. I'm going, I know, but you're special. I joked with her because I told her the story about the psychologist that I just felt would not get to first base with Susie. And I said, you have the right vibe. Do you have any psychology in your background? And she laughed and she says, well, I've got a 22-year-old and a 25-year-old. I said, you're hired, you pass. But anyway, the hard conversation from Laura, her interaction with Susie, and I'm so sorry I wasn't there to witness it. Susie let her in, let her into her world. So, and then I'm asking Laura, I'm telling her, how I'm not sure whether she's understanding me or I'm not understanding her, and I said, with a psychologist, I'm hopeful we can really find out what's inside her. And she's saying, the difficulty is part of the process in using the speech therapist is they're able to ascertain what Susie's understanding is of things. And with the repetitive speech therapy sessions, the patients tend to develop and get sharper in terms of their understanding of things and their ability to answer definitively and clearly. And so all of this does not play out well for Susie if she continues to deny services from the therapist. So the hard conversation with Laura is telling me, look, Susie needs to have 900 minutes a week of therapy in order to stay in this unit. And 900 minutes is 15 hours, so divided by 5, that's 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. And before Friday, Susie was on track to, I think, easily accomplish the 900 minutes mark. But she fell off on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and, therapists were making repeated trips back, beyond the scheduled time, just to see if there might be a change of heart or change of attitude. And Susie was covering up and shaking her head no. And I think when somebody came in, I walked up to the side of her bed and got very close to her face, and I said, Susie, open up, it's me. It's just going to be you and me talking right now. And so she lifted the veil, and we had, I'm going to say conversation. I was the one talking, but it's something like, Susie, do you know I love you? She said yes. And I said, Susie, do you know you can trust me? And she said yes. And I told her, I said, I want to do what you want, but I don't know what that is. And these people that help you with the speaking are going to help me help you. And she listened, but she wasn't going to change in that moment. So I don't know. I'm just really worried about how this is all going to play out. I'm really worried about it. Yeah. Can I bring her home? Can I take care of her? Right now she's in bed all day. She's not willing to get in her wheelchair. I don't anticipate having a hospital bed at home. So, she can't get elevated. She can eat in bed at the hospital because the back of the bed can elevate, and therefore you're upright and you can eat. Just a lot of logistics that are going to change for her if I bring her home. And so it's absolutely imperative from my point of view that she be able to get in a wheelchair, be in a wheelchair. And it's also good for her in terms of it works different muscles. You have to hold your core upright. It also is good for preventing bed sores because you're in a different position, different pressure points, probably fewer pressure points in the chair than laying in bed. So, I don't know. I'm really flummoxed. So, two things. I'm going to take in some stuff from home. So I'm going to do a little show and tell with you guys to show you what I'm taking. The first thing, pardon my hand, it's in front of the screen. I'll remove it in just a minute. First thing I'm going to take is something that I have taken before. And that is, this is one of her favorite colognes, Eternity. And I took it in about a week ago, I think. And she was in a shared room. And I didn't even think to ask if it was okay to spritz her with this. I showed it to her. I said, do you want some? She nodded, put some on her wrist and rubbed her wrist and put a little rub on from my finger on her upper lip so it'd be right by her nose and she could smell it easily. So fortunately there wasn't a roommate in that room at the time, but I thought, people have chemical sensitivities, especially in a hospital environment. So I think I kind of blew it that time, but this time I'm taking it in. I'm going to ask him before I spritz, make sure it's cool. Plus, Susie has her own room, so I'm hopeful that that Susie will want to have a little spritz and that it'll be cool with the hospital staff. And so the other show and tell is anybody that knows Susie well knows that Valentine's is probably the biggest day in the year for her. And her dad was a huge Valentine's celebrator, bringing home balloons and flowers and all kinds of gifts, chocolates and whatever. And so Susie is very much carried on that mentality is you better step up on Valentine's. I think I had one Valentine's since we've been together for 46 years where I didn't really do anything. And because I was thinking, okay, this is kind of diminishing. It's not a big deal. Wrong. It was a big deal. So the reason I'm bringing up Valentine's Day, because we're in June, is I'm going to take in every year I make handmade Valentines for her. And I'll show you a couple of them. I will tell you that a lot of these ideas that are on the cards aren't original to me. I'm surfing the net for ideas, and when I find them, I'll make a little note to do that when it's Valentine's Day. So I'm going to show you 3 little Valentines. And she had me use an adhesive to attach them to a little decorative basket that we've got that she keeps some plants in. So this is the basket, and on 3 sides we have Valentines, and I'll show you each one of the Valentines. So the plants go in the basket here, sits on the table, and here's the first Valentine. I hope you can see this. It's 2 slices or 2 hunks of cheese. And it says, "Will you brie my Valentine?" So that's the first one. And then it looks like this is supposed to look like 2 tomatoes holding hands. And if we read in 3 columns downward, it says, "I love you from my head to my toes." Tomatoes or tomatoes. Happy Valentine's. And then the last one is got a little Asian angle to it. Is "I'm soy into you." Okay, so that's what I'm going to take to Susie today. And when my cousin Sally visited last week, she was going over to my Uncle Jerry's, and I asked her to see if they had some muffin pans that I could borrow. My Aunt Joan was a huge baker, and she died 3 years ago this last March. And so I was hopeful that she'd have some muffin tins that I could borrow, but Sally looked and she said no muffin tins. So Sally was going to bring me muffin tins because I told her I'd be up for just a social visit, maybe dinner or something. And so she mentioned she could bring muffin tins down. And then I thought the whole logistics of returning them and, the cost of gas and all that stuff. So I bought 2 sets of 12, 12, you can put 12 muffins in a pan. So 2 of those for like $12. So thank God for Amazon. It's getting delivered today. And the reason for the muffins is I want to bake something. I'm a baker, so I want to bake something for the hospital care team as a thank you, and just, they've just been fantastic. I want to give back to them. And I was thinking today, oh, wow, I better not take it into the room. And the reason is when they go into the room, they go to a soap dispenser on the wall, does that foam soap. And on exiting a patient's room, they foam soap on the way out. And I thought, okay, I guess patient rooms are considered contaminated areas, so better not take it into the patient room. Maybe I'll have it at the nurse's station or something. I don't know. But anyway, my goal is to get up early tomorrow and bake the muffins and take them in and give Susie breakfast. So gonna have to get up early. Today was an early morning. I got up at 2:30 to pee and just couldn't go back to sleep. And rather than tossing turning, I just got up and started doing stuff. I didn't make coffee until a couple hours later because I always have hope that, if I'm not sleeping and I get up and do something, that there's also a possibility of me going back and sleeping, which wasn't the case today. So anyway, I just want to shout out to people that have reached out to me and had a great conversation last night with a friend. It's a very dear friend. So supportive, has great insight. Family members that have reached out that are so supportive. So that means a lot to me. Really, really means a lot. And I tell Susie, the other day I take her phone with me. So the other day I was on her Facebook page because she would spend a lot of time on Facebook. She rarely posted, but she would see what's going on with different people. And one of our former real estate clients, Sarah, who I've mentioned before, lives in North Carolina with her 2 daughters and husband, or I think husband anyway. So anyway, I was reading to Susie about Shiloh, their oldest daughter, and her first swim meet, and showing the pictures of Shiloh with her little swimming cap on and her goggles, and it just put a smile on Susie's face. Something was familiar and something that touched her heart. And so I'm just trying to do my best to keep her connected to things that are important to her. Anyway, guys, I got to scoot. So appreciate you. Much love. Joel. See ya.